I think we're on. Greetings, metalheads, and welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin. And I have a very special guest with me tonight. I know I'm always excited with my guests, but I'm particularly excited. If you saw my video the other day, you know I'm in love with this man's album. So this is Viraliy, the guitarist from 1914. How are you, my friend?
Hello, good. What about you?
I'm loving life at the moment. I've got work in the morning, but I'm whittering away my last evening off. So I'm happy to be talking to you. So yeah, we've got this fantastic album out now, Where Weapons and Fear Meet. And well, Where Fear and Weapons Meet. I got that the wrong way round. Do apologise. So yeah, I mean, I suppose we'll talk about this album for a little bit, and then I'll sort of go over the history of the band and see where the conversation takes us.
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't know where to start really. A lot of work went into this album, didn't it? So let's start off with the album and then go from there.
Yeah, a lot of work.
And it wasn't that long really between it wasn't that big a gap between this album and the last album. What was that? 2000?
The previous one.
2018. Yeah.
Yeah. 18.
I mean, did you do the album? Because a lot of people are releasing albums at the moment, but because of lockdowns and restrictions and everything, they sat on them for a while. I mean, you could go in an extreme case with Iron Maiden and Carcass. They've not long released albums, and the albums were 2 years old. I mean, did anything like that go on, or?
No. We realized the time is flowing. That it's almost 3 years since we released the last one, and if there were no lockdown, we would probably release it much earlier. But lockdown and pandemic a little bit slowed us down. So we faced some personal issues and had to deal with them through almost all 2020. And just at the end of that year, at the end of the 2020, like the end of November, we sat to compose the music for this one. So basically, we lost like almost a year.
As did everyone, yeah. But
yeah, because someone during the lockdown sits and creates the music, and here we were in a little bit different situation because it's Eastern Europe. We don't receive that support from the state, and we were concentrated just on basically on survival. A lot of the guys from the band just lost their jobs, so the music is the last thing you think about.
Well, yeah. The when you've got the wolf at the door, you've got to concentrate on that, haven't you? And
exactly.
yeah, the music's your escape, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but when you plan to release something, when you're working on it, basically, we started end of November, beginning of December 2020, and it was released almost a year after. So if we delayed more, it would be like 2022? It doesn't make sense. So take into account this long time for preparation, for promotion, for printing physical copies even, we decided to just push ourselves more and more and do it. Yeah. This is how we spent that winter. It was very intense work. We basically closed ourselves in my apartment with a couple of guitars, DAW, lots of alcohol.
Good. Yep. Yeah. So I think comparing this with the last album, these are the only two albums I've got. I'm eagerly trying to find a physical copy of the first one, but it feels this one's a bit more up tempo the Blind Leading the Blind was quite slow and more doom laden, while this one there's a bit more blast beats and whatnot. But with that being said, I find this one to be there's a bit more melody in there as well, and I find it's a bit more. I feel the last album rewarded repeated listens. You had to sort of get into it and get into the space of it, while this one sort of hits you a bit more. It's a bit more. It becomes a bit more apparent what the album's about to begin with. Maybe that's because I was more familiar with the band this time round. Maybe it's the other way. Depends what album you jump in on. But how do you feel about this album and how it fits in with the band's back catalogue so far?
Honestly, I had an opposite thoughts on this. I thought that the previous one just catches you right away. And to get used to the new one, you just have to spin it a couple of times. But I hear absolutely different opinion, and actually, I still have mixed feelings regarding this one because we tried an absolutely different approach.
Okay.
Yes. If you speak about The Blind, we had almost a year to play some songs on shows, on tours, on different festivals. So it's a bit, polished, I would say. And this one, after writing the music, we stepped into the studio right away, a couple of weeks after we finished. And so the process was so intense, I didn't have a chance to get used to this music. I'm not that it was the first experience in my life, so I create music and record it right away. So usually we give ourselves some time to think about it, maybe change some parts, maybe add something, remove something. So this one is in a form as we created it, like initial form.
So when it comes to playing these songs live, you're going to be just as surprised as the audience, because you don't know how they're going to react. The last one you managed to test out a little bit and get reaction before recording it and sort of.
Yeah, I must agree. It's interesting.
Sort of, rubbing down the rougher edges of the song and whatnot. And I don't think you're in any danger anyway. I think you're in safe hands with this one.
Cool.
So going back to the beginning, then you wasn't a founding member of the band. You joined the band.
A little bit later. Yeah.
So how did you become aware of 1914, and how did it come about that you joined the band?
We are friends. We know each other for many, many years. I played with the drummer in 3 different bands before 1914 for like 10 years. And I know bass player for also many, many years, and a singer who's very famous musician in this area. Everyone knew him because of his previous bands. He has a punk background, hardcore background, and these bands were very well known in Ukraine. And I knew that guys were playing, and when I discovered their very first single, Caught in a Crossfire, I immediately became a fan. I became a fan and visited all the shows in the local area. And when they were in the need of some guitar support, they called me. I didn't have any doubts. I just agreed immediately, and learned the first album, my parts, in 2 or 3 evenings, and we were ready to jam, to get used to each other. Yeah.
So you was on the For Kaiser Volkans Butterland EP was the first release.
No. Actually, my first release was The Blind. I joined.
Oh, that was your.
Yeah.
You've been on the. So you're.
Yeah. Yeah. Last two albums.
Oh, I see. Right. Just catching up. So, yeah. So let's talk about this album a little bit more then, because this was this really took me by surprise as well when it first came out. I was first made aware of this because David Ingram he shared it saying that he'd done guest vocals, and I checked out his track and then went on to listen to the full album, and that's when I picked up a copy. But what do you think of tell us a little bit about the concept of 1914 for those that aren't really familiar with the band. It focuses on as many of bands do have a war theme. Yours focuses on World War One.
Our main goal was always a storytelling first. We just wrapping our stories in that musical shell, I would say, because of the passion to work history, the passion that our singer, the main man, brings to the band. You know, this guy is a war archaeologist for more than 15 years. And I was seeing his post on the Facebook. He was digging some stuff again yesterday in our Carpathian Mountains with them. And having a big passion to work history, especially the Great War history, having the big passion in music. So the idea was to combine both passions and to create something 100% dedicated to this period in history, because there were some experiments in previous bands with 1914 topic, but these experiments were limited to some specific songs, you know. It was never an album. It was never a set of songs. It was just like a song called 1914. And we must understand that this period is too big to be covered in a single song. And I always say in all the conversations that you may write 20 albums and you will not cover everything.
Exactly. So, yes. Yeah. That was going to be my next question. You know, I was in a similar way. You know, when I spoke to Carl Sanders from Nile, and what started off as looking up some books for a couple of ideas for some songs ended up. Hold on a minute. I could have this could be the whole theme of the band, because the more he read, the more he discovered that he had. So whereas someone might just touch on a song or two, or maybe even an album. No, I've got a whole spectrum to go across, and
exactly.
and funnily enough, during lockdown myself, I've started reading different books, and again, the more you read, the more you read one book, and then that leads to 5 more books that you've got to read, and then once you read them,
it's like clicking links in Wikipedia, you know.
Yeah, you just go further down, and
you end up with 30 tabs in your browser.
And this album as well is it focuses on different. Each song tells a story of someone from the war as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And this one has more of a hopeful outlook, because it's what people went on to do after the war as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, we wanted to, like, later when everything was combined and we were working on lyrics, it came out to be more about hope and life. The majority of the characters returned back home to the families, became heroes, with, of course, some exclusions like Private A.G. Harrison. But yeah, you know, when you live in the dark times like these, the hope is something you unconsciously trying to reach out to. and probably this is reflected in this album's idea.
So another thing for this album as well, with the band in general, really, is that it's quite cinematic. It's very, as much as this is it's a metal album. It's rooted in metal, but isn't restricted by metal in any way. It's, you've got horns, you've got orchestral parts, it really does paint a picture. And there's more to this than just, bit of headbanging and mosh pits. This is something that you do just dive into, and while you're listening to this, you do picture the scene. You're on the battleground whilst listening to this, and it's, a song like "And a Cross Now Marks His Place." It's very bleak. It stirs the emotions.
It's good. It's good. Means we did the job in a correct way.
Do you think that's one thing I wanted to speak about, actually, was your live show? Has that evolved as the band's gone on? I've seen some recent photos, and it looks like you've got a bit of a set piece going on now.
Yeah, but it's not 100% complete because we didn't test everything properly because there were no shows, obviously.
No, yeah, but
yeah, we have changed the names, the stage names. We have changed the stage uniforms, and we're preparing something special for our fans. But it's just to be tested. To be, it will be in the future. I must say, because we will have a big presentation show in a couple of weeks in Kyiv, in our capital.
Mm-hmm.
And so we will see how does it sound live, how does it look like, work on mistakes, naturally how it happens.
I mean, I think the sky's the limit with what you could do as well, isn't it? I think something I referenced when I reviewed the album was if you see Iron Maiden when they did Passchendaele, and if you guys applied that, took the death metal element with something as big as that, obviously with the right budget and with the right management, I'm sure you guys yourselves must be.
Yeah, unfortunately, there are very few venues that allow riding in a tank and shooting explosives and projectiles. So yes, we are a little bit limited.
I'm sure, though, once your imagination goes, though, what you'd want to do can, Sabaton eventually managed to pull it off, so I'm guessing you guys can.
Yeah, if we reach that level, I think we will have even more to surprise our fans with.
I think the potential's there. Honestly, I do. I think
we'll see.
The album, well, second from last closer is the Green Fields of France, which I looked into and was a traditional song. More famous because it was covered by the Dropkick Murphys. I think it's fair to say that you more than reinterpreted it to be your own song. But what made you choose to take that song, and how did you go about applying the way you did? Because it's completely different to the versions anyone else would be familiar with.
Yeah, first of all, the song was intended to be like, it is the last song on the album, and if you take like the first one, this is Killing in Saraiba, this is the beginning of everything, and this is the end. So it should have been a logical end when everything ends and you just come and sit by the grave of the fallen comrade or the fallen friend and talk to him, like an apogee of this madness, And about the sound, I don't know, everything comes so naturally sometimes we even don't think like we need something fast here or we need something slow here. It just came out, and with some minor adjustments, like singer says, "Hey guys, please give me like more mud here. I need it to be more dirty, you know." And yeah, and we did a dirty track, a dirty sounding track, which became the closing track, and these industrial parts and pipe and everything creates, like personally for me, creates a kind of cacophony that just hard stops. You know, I just I don't know how to describe it in other words.
You just have to listen, but a good little touch throughout the album as well. You've had it on the previous albums also. So where do you find these? A lot of research obviously does go into the lyrics and the themes, and when you got that little radio samples of like old songs from those times, and the way they're woven into the music all the way through. So this album in particular starts and closes with some old music from that time, but it's laced throughout. And how did you go about like finding all that stuff? Because this wasn't, it couldn't have been stuff that was easy to come by.
Yeah, there are a couple of sources for these old audio tracks. It is audio archives from that period. The archive that contains like old recordings, field recordings, everything that is saved, basically. I don't have the name of this archive near to name it, but the singer, the spiritual leader, have access to something that is not accessible by ordinary people. So you have to prove your identity, you have to prove your degree to be able to reach these archives. And this is, by the way, the place we found the letter we talked about in Cross Now Marx's place.
Yeah.
These are national archives, war archives from the First World War period, mainly. If you need something, like if you have some story but you need details, it's always good to dive there and to find something. For example, there are songs or there are stories, events that are pretty much covered, that are popular, let's say. So you don't have to like pull up every stone, you know. But sometimes you need to find the names of like divisions that were fighting there, like from each side. And yeah, so he does a very, very thorough work, digging the archives, digging other like thematic forums and stuff. I remember he once showed me his folder with preparation to this album, and it contained like, I don't know, hundreds of links, hundreds of web links, photos, photographs, memoirs, links to these archives. Just crazy. I just can hold it in my hands. So,
I mean, obviously, again, it depends what you can afford to put into the thing, but I think it would be great if, again, I'm bringing the Nile comparison, but when he's got the lyrics one side and like a little essay on where the song came from, maybe something like that would be great going forward, or maybe on a future, like if you ever reissued the album or something like that, because maybe we've just some references for further reading and things like that, because it's all very interesting. It's all stuff you know, everyone knows vaguely of that time, but that the detail that these songs go into, it just opens up new doors, and you can unearth so much, you know. And you can tell as well the things that you can tell it's authentic. You can tell again that this isn't just some people may just pick something from a film, or you know, but this is you can tell that this was thoroughly researched, and they
really cool idea.
Yeah. Coward was another song as well that stuck out. That was a interesting little piece. Again, it sounds like it's an old song.
Yeah, but this is actually our song.
Yeah.
Our lyrics. But the intention was to make it like it is, like it sounds, like an old soldier's song. And it's being played on the instruments typically used at that time. Harmonica, some custom handmade percussions, some string instruments. There was Dima Singer told me this story once. He was dreaming, and this was actually his dream. The guy who runs and who got shot, it was him in his dreams. And when he woke up, he wrote down the lyrics. I sat with it a couple of times, a couple of days, played some acoustic riffs to it, and then the idea came to make it like that. And who's gonna make it? Like, naturally, we have this great, talented artist, Sasha Boom. He's our friend, by the way. We know each other for many years.
Yeah.
We just called him. He listened to some ideas, and then he sent us the first demo recording of his version, let's say. And this was it. We left everything as it is. So the song is not changed since the first demo recording. So he did the job precisely.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, you hear that and you think that could easily be on the soundtrack to a film.
Cool, nice.
You know, and I think all of this can be as well. I mean, you never, it'd be a cool film, but it does. You really could use this as a set piece to a battle going on or something like that. And if you ever did use samples from films in the back, like on a screen above the band or something like that, it'd be all. I think it would work really well as long as it's edited right. So David Ingram did guest vocals on the last album, and you got Nick Holmes from Paradise Lost on this one. How did you go about getting them to get on the album, and what made you choose these guys? Is this another thing that you want to going forward, picking different singers from different bands that you're fans of, or?
We are just fans of these bands. Benediction, Bolt Thrower, Paradise Lost for many years. And, I don't remember exactly what was happening last time. It was a long time ago. It was 4 years ago. But this time we had an idea first time in 3 albums to add the clean vocals into the chorus of that song, and we needed someone from the side to do this for us because it didn't work like we wanted with using only our powers. And the song itself gave very Paradise Lost vibes from the beginning when we created the first riffs, then when the song was ready, and then when we tried to put lyrics onto it. And when we saw that it doesn't work like we want, we needed to invite someone, and like we were sitting in our rehearsals place and talking, and like, guys, what options do we have? Who will do this for us? Like, what do you think? What are your ideas? And almost all the guys instantly, like simultaneously pronounced Nick Holmes. But who could do better? Cleans and harsh vocals, like in this style.
Yeah.
It was just very obvious, but we were a little bit scared because of the level of Paradise Lost, and we are some unknown Ukrainian band. But no one beats for asking. We wrote an email. where we explained the idea. We sent the lyrics, the letter, and he liked that. Requested demo tape, demo recording. The demo was like sent almost instantly, and in a couple of days after we sent the demo, he messaged us, guys, I like the track, I really love to participate. And I still can't believe it, believe me or not, being a fan and having my favorite singer, my favorite band on my recording was just beyond amazing.
Yeah, it must always be nice when someone you've been listening to for how many years, and you've had that, even if it's just playing a show with them or something like that. It's always great to have that connection and have that. It's ticking off that list,
We were sitting in front of this email and like, Nick Holmes likes our music. This hysterical laughing. Yeah,
well,
that was fun.
I think you should be very proud of this album. I think this is easily one of the best albums of the year, and you should be very proud of it. I'll finish off by asking you your top 5 albums.
Me and the singer of the band, we always have a lot of fun from these questions because we have totally different musical tastes. And he often talks with media. I do it as well. And there is some like a mixture of my favorite bands and his favorite bands in the internet, and it confuses people often. But I still offend him when I have a chance with my favorite music because I'm a fan of like probably 70 to 80% of what I listen is Scandinavian music.
Okay, yeah.
Especially, I'm in love with Gothenburg death metal. Albums that shaped me, albums that formed me, top 5, I would name Sepultura's Roots.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Death, Symbolic.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Yeah, I would say there was one Polish band, like a Polish superstar death metal band called DS Ira, and their album The Sculpture of Stone. This is my like number 1 top death metal album.
Say that again. Sorry, I'm trying to write it down. This is why I always ask, because I always discover something new.
DS Ira. DS like DIES. IRAE. This is the band name.
Yeah.
The album is The Sculpture of Stone.
Okay. Well, I'll look that up. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's your all-time favorite death metal album?
Ever. Like I didn't find still like so. It's very narrow style death metal, like Polish death metal.
Yeah.
It contains everything I love.
Well, Polish don't mess about when it comes to death metal. So if this is, wow, I'm gonna check this out as soon as we're finished.
So I have 2 more, right?
2 more, yeah. You've done well so far. So you can.
Because like these 3 gave me more, in the beginning when I was a kid. Yeah. And then I started listening more and more and more, and now I can name like 50 albums, and that wouldn't be enough. So let's stop. Let's do a hard stop here.
Okay, all right, that's fair enough. Because yeah, so I sympathise.
The same.
It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and I wish you all the best with this album. And once the cogs get turning and you guys can start touring again, I hope to see you in the UK. And I look forward to speaking to you in the future. So I wish you and the band all the best.
Thank you very much.
1914, everyone, where Fear and Weapons meet. You absolutely essential listening. You've got to listen to this. So thanks a lot, man. And take care. I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Have a good evening.